Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln pennies coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that you might not give a second thought to at first glance, but trust me, this one is a game changer for collectors. We're diving into the world of the 1967 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that's been causing quite a stir in the numismatic community. Now, most of us are familiar with the penny, right? It's the smallest denomination in US currency, and for many, it's just something that gets tossed around in a jar or maybe even forgotten about. But what if I told you that your 1967 penny could be worth a small fortune? That's right, folks, the 1967 1-cent coin could have a value you never imagined. Stick with me to find out exactly why this coin is so sought after and just how much it could be worth today. Trust me, this is something you definitely want to hear, so let's jump right into it. First things first, let's talk about the history of this coin. The 1967 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln Cent series, which was introduced in 1909 to commemorate President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Ever since then, the Lincoln Cent has been a beloved staple of American currency, and the 1967 version is no different, or is it? You see, while the 1967 penny was produced in large numbers, millions, in fact, there's a certain rarity that makes some of these coins incredibly special. Over the years, many of these pennies were used in everyday transactions and went through the grind of daily life. However, not every penny that was minted in 1967 is just like the others. The real value comes from a particular set of circumstances that make this coin stand out in a way you wouldn't expect. Let's talk about the minting errors that have made the 1967 1-cent coin one of the most valuable pennies out there. There are some pennies from 1967 that are actually misprints or have minting errors that make them extremely rare. These errors could range from off-center strikes, double dies, or even incorrect metal composition. These types of flaws are what collectors look for, as they can make a coin much more valuable than its typical face value. For example, imagine a penny with an off-center strike, meaning the design wasn't properly aligned when the coin was struck. This can create a very unique and interesting look on the coin, making it stand out from all the other pennies. When a mistake like this happens, the coin is no longer just a regular piece of currency, it becomes a one-of-a-kind collectible, but it doesn't end there. Some 1967 pennies have been found to have double die errors, where the image on the coin was struck multiple times, creating a distorted or blurry design. These errors can make the coin extremely valuable because, again, they're mistakes that only occurred once in a while, making them rarities. In addition to these errors, some 1967 pennies were accidentally made with a slightly different metal composition than the rest. Most pennies are made from a mix of copper and zinc, but occasionally, there are coins that are struck with the wrong material, giving them a slightly different appearance or weight. These mistakes aren't common, and as a result, they can drastically increase the value of the coin. Now, let's get to the part that you've all been waiting for, the price. If you happen to own a 1967 1-cent coin in excellent condition, especially one with a minting error, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Some of these rare and unique pennies have been known to fetch up to $68,000 at auction. That's right, $68,000 for a single penny. Who would have thought that something so small and seemingly insignificant could hold so much value? This is a perfect example of how even a common coin like a 1967 penny, when it has the right condition or an unusual error, can become a highly coveted treasure for collectors. So, next time you come across a 1967 penny in your change jar or while you're sorting through some old coins, don't just dismiss it as another common penny. Take a closer look, and you might just have a rare, valuable piece of history on your hands. Top 2, we're uncovering a hidden gem from 1981 that has collectors buzzing. I'm talking about the United States 1-cent coin from 1981. A coin that may look like just another penny to the untrained eye but could actually be worth a small fortune. Now, you might be asking yourself, it's just a penny, what's the big deal? But hold on. There's more to this coin than meets the eye. Stick around because what you're about to hear will leave you shocked at how much value this seemingly common coin can hold. Let's dive right into the world of the 1981 1-cent coin and uncover the rare qualities and minting errors that make this penny a sought-after treasure for collectors. First, let's start with a little bit of history. The 1981 penny is part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been around since 1909. For over a century, these pennies have been in circulation, and many of them have passed through countless hands, been tossed in jars, or even lost under couch cushions. But the 1981 penny, in particular, holds a certain charm for collectors. Not because of any dramatic historical event tied to its year, but because of a rare twist in its production that has made certain 1981 pennies much more valuable than their face value suggests. You see, while millions of pennies were minted in 1981, some of these pennies have features that set them apart from the rest. And this is where it gets exciting. Let's talk about minting errors. The real reason why this penny is becoming a goldmine for collectors. One of the most important things to understand about collecting coins is that minting errors can completely change the value of a coin. A simple mistake during the manufacturing process can turn a regular penny into a one-of-a-kind collector's item. For example, one of the most sought-after errors in the 1981 penny is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned when it's struck by the minting press, leading to a design that's shifted to one side. These off-center coins are unique because no two are exactly the same, making them highly collectible, but that's not all. Some 1981 pennies were struck with double die errors. What's a double die error, you ask? Well, it happens when the die used to imprint the design onto the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to appear twice, blurry, doubled, or distorted. A double die error can make a coin stand out in a way that no ordinary penny ever could, and collectors absolutely love them because they're rare and fascinating. There's also the possibility of a metal composition error. Most pennies are made from a blend of copper and zinc, but occasionally, some coins were struck using the wrong metal mixture. These wrong planchet errors can result in a penny that's slightly lighter or heavier than it should be, and the color might even be different from the typical reddish-brown copper look. This kind of error can make a coin more valuable, especially when the wrong metal is rare enough to be considered a mistake by the mint. So, what does all this mean for the value of the 1981 penny? Well, if you happen to find a 1981 penny with an off-center strike, double die error, or metal composition mistake, you could be holding on to something worth far more than just 1 cent. Now, for the big reveal. If you've got one of these rare 1981 pennies, whether it's a coin with a minting error or just a perfectly preserved piece in uncirculated condition, you could be looking at a value of up to $52,000. Yes, you heard that right, $52,000 for a single penny. That's an absolutely staggering amount of money for something that was once just pocket change. Top 3, we're talking about a piece of American history that might just be hiding in your collection. We're looking at the United States 1-cent coin from 1961, a coin that may seem like a regular penny, but trust me, it's far from ordinary. This seemingly simple coin has turned out to be a real treasure for collectors, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss out on a chance to turn this little penny into a small fortune. So, you're probably wondering, what's so special about a 1961 penny? After all, it's a coin you'd expect to find in circulation, right? Well, here's the twist. Some of the 1961 pennies are extremely rare and incredibly valuable, thanks to certain minting errors and rarities that make them stand out in a big way. Let's go back in time for a moment and look at the historical context. The 1961 1-cent coin is part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been one of the longest-running coin series in American history, dating all the way back to 1909. This particular penny, however, was minted during a period when the U.S. economy was undergoing significant changes. Yet, for most people, the penny was just a convenient piece of currency for daily transactions. But not all 1961 pennies are the same, and some of them hold secrets that could make them incredibly valuable today. The most important factor in the value of a 1961 penny is the presence of minting errors. As many collectors know, errors can make a coin exponentially more valuable. These minting errors are essentially mistakes that occur during the production process, and when these mistakes happen, the result is a coin that is unique, rare, and highly desirable among collectors. One of the most valuable types of errors in the 1961 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the design on the coin is struck multiple times, resulting in a blurry, double image. This can affect the portrait of Abraham Lincoln or the date, and when collectors find a penny with a double die error, they know they've stumbled upon something special. These double die pennies are extremely sought after, and finding one in good condition can dramatically increase its value. Another minting error that makes a 1961 penny more valuable is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin planchet isn't properly aligned in the minting press. The result is a coin where the design is shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. These coins are often considered mistakes, but to a collector, they are pure gold. Off-center strikes are unique, as no two are exactly alike, and they add a level of artistic rarity to the coin, but the minting errors don't stop there. Sometimes, the metal composition used in the coin could also be off, which creates even more variations in the 1961 penny. Most pennies are made from copper-plated zinc, but incorrect metal mix-ups can lead to subtle but important differences in the coin's weight, appearance, or color. These variations are extremely rare, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for a coin that doesn't fit the usual specifications. All of these errors and rarities are what make the 1961 1-cent coin a valuable collector's item. But it's not just the minting mistakes that add to its worth. Condition plays a huge role in the value of any coin, and 1961 pennies are no exception. A well-preserved, uncirculated 1961 penny is a sight to behold. If you find one that's free of damage, scratches, or tarnish, you're looking at a coin that could fetch a pretty penny in the market. Now, let's get to the most exciting part, the value of this 1961 1-cent coin. If you have one of these rare pennies, especially if it has a double die error, off-center strike, or some other unique feature, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Some of these coins have been known to sell for incredible amounts at auction. Are you ready for the big reveal? Depending on the condition, rarity, and specific errors, a 1961 penny could be worth as much as $72,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $72,000 for a single penny. It's unbelievable, isn't it? But that's the reality in the world of coin collecting. A coin that most people would overlook could be sitting in your collection, waiting to make you a small fortune. So, next time you come across a 1961 penny, take a moment to look it over carefully. Check for any minting errors, unusual features, or signs of rarity. You might just have a coin worth far more than you ever imagined. Top 4. We're diving deep into the world of the 1982 United States 1-cent coin, a coin that may seem like just another penny to the casual observer, but to coin collectors, it's anything but ordinary. Now, when you think about pennies, what comes to mind? Probably something you toss into your spare change jar, right? But here's the thing, some of these pennies are worth far more than you might expect. In fact, the 1982 penny, especially when it comes with the right features and minting errors, can be worth a small fortune. I'm talking about a coin that might just be sitting in your collection, waiting to surprise you. So, let's break it down. The 1982 1-cent coin was minted during a particularly interesting time in U.S. history. In that year, the U.S. Mint made a significant change in the composition of the penny. Prior to 1982, pennies were mostly made of copper, but in 1982, the Mint switched to a new composition that was made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This change in metal composition is what sets the 1982 penny apart from its predecessors and makes certain versions of the coin incredibly valuable. But the real treasure in the 1982 penny lies not just in its metal composition, but in the minting errors that have made certain pennies from that year so highly sought after by collectors. Let's talk about those errors, because they are what can make a regular penny worth way more than its face value. One of the most significant errors to look out for is the copper-plated zinc penny. In 1982, because of the change in metal composition, the Mint was supposed to produce pennies that were 97.5% zinc with only a thin layer of copper on the outside. However, due to some mix-ups in the production process, a small number of pennies were made entirely of copper, just like the old pre-1982 pennies. These copper pennies are extremely rare and highly prized by collectors because they're an accidental throwback to a time when pennies were made of pure copper. This rare copper version of the 1982 penny is a mistake coin, and mistake coins are always in high demand. Collectors love these types of coins because they're unique and provide a glimpse into the production errors that occurred during minting. Finding one of these copper pennies can be like striking gold. In addition to the copper-plated zinc error, there are other minting flaws that can make the 1982 penny incredibly valuable. For example, some 1982 pennies were struck with a double die error. This happens when the design is imprinted onto the coin more than once, resulting in a blurry or doubled image. This error is highly collectible because it makes the coin stand out from the rest of the 1982 pennies, and collectors are willing to pay big money for coins with this error. There's also the possibility of finding off-center strike errors in the 1982 penny. These occur when the coin blank isn't properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. This gives the coin a unique, misaligned appearance that many collectors find especially interesting. The more misaligned the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. Off-center strike errors are always in demand because they're rare and make a coin appear more like a piece of art than just currency. Now, you might be wondering, how much could a 1982 penny be worth? Well, the value of a 1982 penny really depends on the condition of the coin, the type of minting error it has, and how rare that error is. A regular 1982 penny with no errors will be worth only its face value, 1 cent. However, if you're lucky enough to have one of those copper-plated zinc pennies from 1982, you could be looking at a coin that could fetch up to $57,000, yes, that's right, $57,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin as small and seemingly insignificant as a penny could hold so much value. And what makes this even more exciting is that these error coins are extremely rare, meaning if you find one, you could be sitting on a treasure trove of value. So, how do you know if you have one of these valuable 1982 pennies? The key is to look closely at the details. Check the composition. If the penny is made of copper, it could be one of the rarest versions. If you notice any unusual strikes, such as a blurry image or an off-center design, you might have a coin with a minting error. Always keep an eye out for these rare and unique features, as they can significantly increase the coin's value. If you've got a stash of coins at home, or if you happen to come across a 1982 penny while going through your change, don't just dismiss it. Take a moment to inspect it thoroughly. You never know what hidden treasure you might have in your hands. Top 5. I've got a story about a coin that might surprise you, the 1964 United States 1-cent coin. This little penny, which most people might toss aside without a second thought, has proven to be far more valuable than it first appears. At first glance, the 1964 penny seems like just another piece of US currency that's been floating around for decades. After all, the 1964 penny is a part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been minted since 1909. But hold on to your seats because this coin holds a few secrets that could turn your idea of what a penny is worth upside down. Let's start with a bit of history. The year 1964 was an important one in the US. It was the final year before the coin composition of the penny was changed. The 1964 penny is made from 90% copper and 10% zinc, making it one of the last copper pennies before the mint switched to a predominantly zinc composition in 1982. This change in metal made the 1964 penny even more valuable as a piece of history. Copper is a precious metal, and even the smallest amount can increase a coin's value. But the real treasure in the 1964 penny lies not just in its composition, but in its rarity, minting errors, and the condition of the coin itself. Now, let's dive into why this coin could be worth so much more than its face value. When we talk about rare and valuable coins, we're not just looking for a penny that's old. No, we're looking for mistakes that make the coin stand out. And the 1964 penny has its share of these valuable mistakes that make it a must-have for collectors. One of the most significant errors in the 1964 penny is the double die error. This happens when the design is imprinted onto the coin more than once, causing the image to appear doubled or blurry. Imagine Lincoln's portrait or the date on the coin being shifted, creating a distorted and ghostly image. This kind of error is incredibly desirable because it's rare, and a coin with a double die error is far more valuable than a regular penny. It's also a unique piece of coin history, making it something every serious collector dreams of finding, but that's not all. Another mistake that can make the 1964 penny worth a fortune is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be stamped off-center. The result? A coin with an intriguing, lopsided design that collectors go wild for. An off-center strike on a 1964 penny adds a personal touch to the coin, and the more misaligned the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. It's a piece of art in coin form, and let's not forget about the condition of the coin. As we've seen with many rare coins, ungraded or uncirculated coins that have been well preserved are worth significantly more than those that have been worn down over time. The shinier, cleaner, and more pristine the coin, the higher its value. Coins that have been carefully stored and protected, free from scratches, tarnish, or other signs of wear, are worth far more than those that have spent years in circulation. If you happen to find a 1964 penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be looking at a much higher price tag than you might expect. Now, you're probably wondering just how much this little penny could actually be worth. Well, let me tell you, the 1964 penny is one of those hidden gems in the world of coin collecting. Depending on the rarity of the error, its condition, and whether it has any of these fascinating minting mistakes, this coin could be worth as much as $63,000, yes, you heard that correctly, $63,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a coin that's been around for decades, something you might find in your spare change jar, could hold such immense value. It just goes to show you how important it is to pay attention to the details when you're going through your collection or sorting through your coins. So, what should you do if you come across a 1964 penny in your collection or while going through your change? Take a moment to inspect it carefully. Look for any signs of minting errors like double die or off-center strikes. If you have a coin that looks like it might be in excellent condition, or if you notice any unusual features, take it to a professional coin appraiser or dealer to get an accurate evaluation. It could be worth far more than you think. If you loved learning about this valuable 1964 penny and want to discover more hidden treasures in the world of coin collecting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an exciting video like this. There's a whole world of rare coins waiting to be uncovered, and who knows, you might just have a piece of history sitting in your collection right now. Top 6, we're talking about the 1973 United States 1-cent coin, a penny that holds more value than you might expect, and could even be worth a small fortune. At first glance, the 1973 penny doesn't look too different from the hundreds of pennies you've probably collected over the years. It's a standard Lincoln cent, with Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse side and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But behind this simple design lies a coin that holds a fascinating story, a coin that's rare, and a coin that could change the way you view pennies forever. The 1973 penny came at an interesting time in U.S. history. The country was in the middle of significant economic change, post-Vietnam War, dealing with inflation, and making adjustments to the national currency. The mint was still producing pennies primarily from copper, which would eventually change in the years following 1982, when the composition of the penny switched to zinc with a copper coating. That means, if you have a 1973 penny, it's made of 95% copper, a highly valued material, and important for collectors. This alone can make the 1973 penny worth more than its face value, but it gets even better. Now, we all know that rarity is what makes a coin truly valuable, and in the case of the 1973 penny, there's a lot of intrigue and mystery that surrounds it. So, let's take a closer look at why the 1973 penny is worth paying attention to. One of the most notable features that could make your 1973 penny so valuable is the minting errors. These mistakes are like hidden treasures, and collectors love them because they make a coin unique. For example, the double die error is something that can add a significant amount of value to your penny. This occurs when the design of the coin is imprinted more than once, causing the features, such as Lincoln's portrait or the date, to appear doubled or misaligned. Imagine the number 1973 being blurry or duplicated slightly, or Lincoln's face having a ghostly appearance. That's the beauty of the double die error, and it makes your coin much more valuable, and that's not all. Another valuable feature that can be found in 1973 pennies is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off. The result? A misstruck penny that's incredibly fascinating and much more sought after by collectors. The further the design is off-center, the more valuable the penny becomes. So, if you happen to find a 1973 penny with a design that's shifted just slightly off-center, you may have a rare coin that could be worth much more than you think. Beyond these minting errors, another reason the 1973 penny is so valuable is due to its condition. In coin collecting, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in its value. A well-preserved, uncirculated penny, free from scratches, dings, or corrosion, will always fetch a much higher price than a worn-down coin. And since the 1973 penny was produced decades ago, most of them have been through years of circulation, causing wear and tear. However, if you happen to find a penny that looks almost as fresh as the day it was minted, you could have a very valuable coin on your hands, but the real jackpot comes when a 1973 penny is found in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially if it has one of those sought-after minting errors. The rarity of such a coin, combined with the right conditions, can skyrocket its value. While most pennies from 1973 are worth only their face value, a special error penny, in great shape, could easily be worth thousands of dollars. So, how much is a 1973 penny worth? Are you ready for this? A rare 1973 penny with minting errors or one that's in perfect condition could be worth as much as $68,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $68,000 for a single penny. It's incredible, isn't it? That small copper coin you might have tossed into a jar or forgotten about could be sitting on a small fortune. It's a great reminder of just how much value can be hidden in the most unexpected places. If you're sorting through your coin collection or even your loose change, make sure to pay close attention to your 1973 pennies. Check for any striking errors, examine the condition of the coin, and if you think you found something special, don't hesitate to get it appraised by a professional. That penny you thought was nothing more than a tiny piece of copper could very well be a rare collectible worth thousands of dollars. So, if you enjoyed learning about the 1973 penny and want to stay updated on more hidden coin treasures, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. You won't want to miss any of our future videos on rare and valuable coins. And who knows, your next coin discovery might just make you a coin collecting expert. Top 7 and last unique coin, we're about to dive into the fascinating world of the 1975 United States 1-cent coin. Now, you may think that a penny from the mid-70s wouldn't have much of a story, but trust me when I say this coin is anything but ordinary. So if you're a coin lover or just curious about rare finds, you're going to want to stick around because this penny could change the way you view your coin collection forever. Let's set the stage. The 1975 penny is part of the well-known Lincoln cent series, which has been a staple of U.S. currency for over a century. You're probably familiar with the classic design, Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. While this design is iconic and recognizable, the real value in the 1975 penny comes from rarity, errors, and unique features that make it a standout in the coin world. First, let's talk about the historical context. The 1970s were a turbulent time in the United States. The country was dealing with inflation, economic challenges, and a changing world. The minting of pennies continued, but the value of copper was fluctuating, which would eventually lead to changes in the penny's composition a few years later. In 1975, the penny was still primarily made of 95% copper, a material that would soon be phased out of the minting process in favor of zinc. Copper coins like the 1975 penny hold a special appeal because they're made from a precious metal, and that alone makes them more valuable than the pennies produced in later years. But what truly sets the 1975 penny apart from others is the rarity of certain variations, particularly minting errors that occur during the production process. These errors are the holy grail for coin collectors, as they make the coin unique and far more valuable than a regular penny. One of the most coveted errors that can be found in the 1975 penny is the double die error. If you're not familiar with what a double die is, it's when the design is struck more than once during the minting process, causing parts of the image to appear doubled or blurry. This can happen to the date, Lincoln's portrait, or the lettering on the coin. The result is a ghostly effect where the features of the coin are imprinted twice, giving it a unique look. A double die 1975 penny is a highly desirable item for collectors, and finding one in good condition could drastically increase its value. Another highly prized error in the 1975 penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin isn't aligned properly during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. An off-center 1975 penny can create a striking, unusual look, with parts of Lincoln's portrait or the memorial missing. The further off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin becomes. In fact, some off-center coins can command prices in the thousands of dollars, making them a coveted find for serious collectors. But it's not just about errors, the condition of the coin also plays a huge role in its value. A well-preserved 1975 penny, free from scratches, tarnish, or any damage, will always fetch a premium price. Because most pennies from 1975 have circulated extensively, it's rare to find one that has maintained its original shine and detail. If you're lucky enough to find a 1975 penny in uncirculated condition, you're sitting on a hidden treasure that's worth far more than face value. So, how much could this little penny actually be worth? Well, the 1975 penny, especially if it has one of those valuable errors or is in pristine condition, could be worth a small fortune. Some collectors have paid top dollar for these rare coins, and in certain cases, a 1975 penny with a double die error, off-center strike, or in perfect condition could easily fetch $60,000. Yes, you heard that right, $60,000 for a single penny. Isn't it incredible to think that something as small and common as a penny could be worth so much? That's the magic of coin collecting. There's always something unexpected hiding in the most unlikely places. If you've got a stash of coins from the 70s, or you're out there checking your loose change, make sure to take a closer look at those 1975 pennies. You just might have a valuable coin on your hands. To all the collectors out there, I hope this video inspires you to take a second look at your collection and to keep your eyes peeled for those rare finds. If you enjoyed learning about the 1975 penny and want to dive deeper into the world of rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more discoveries coming your way, and you won't want to miss a single one. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting.